Oh, yeah, I don't want the transcript though. That transcript is very annoying to me, but I can't remember how to turn it off. Let's see. Stop transcription. There we go. Okay, so should be recording. All right, so as I was saying with ScreenPal, you keep yourself on the screen, and the reason for that is I need to be able to see your ID, because with an online school, we can't guarantee Catalina is really Catalina may be taking doing all the work for Michael, and Michael gets the degree, and he should know. So you hold your ID up for 15 seconds. If it's in a foreign language, that's okay, because I can see your picture, and I'm going to assume that your name is your name. So, you don't have to have an English one. Anyway, you hold that up so I can confirm it, and then you just start talking, and in the background, you're walking me through Evernote or Google Drive, whatever it is you have, and just talking about some of the highlights and how you decided to organize and why you kept the artifacts you did. So your artifacts might be research papers that you did, one of the papers or some of the papers you wrote, or they might be websites you found, or they might be lesson plans you found, whatever you found during your 13 or so classes, 10 classes that you've taken, just to demonstrate again how you're going to use that portfolio and the artifacts, because once you leave here, you don't have access to any of that. Actually, once you leave a class, you don't have access, but certainly you can't come back in and use the library, or unfortunately. Some schools can maintain library access. So, for example, where I did my doctorate and even my master's, I have access to the alumni library, but they have to pay for it. So people didn't have the money for that. So you lose access to the library as well. But, there are other ways to do research. I mean, obviously, Google Scholar or ProQuest, right? You should still have access to some of that, just being a person. Or Sage, I believe, is open access. And there's another one that's open access. Anyway, so if you still want to do research out on your own, because now you don't have a time constraints, But anyway, let me circle back to your portfolio. So that's basically what I'm trying to see this unit is, if you can talk me through how you organize, what's important to you. That's one of my cats. That's what I want to see. So don't stress. That's the big deal. Is I'm not judging you. Hey, whatever works for you is what works for you. And if it's not organized, if you just have a bunch of stuff in there, that's fine. I mean, I think you'll find after you graduate and you've got all the time in the world, you can go back and organize the way you want. I do not recommend you save your resources by class, because you may not remember the class you were in, and you're like, oh man, I found that really good article on departmentalization in elementary schools, but I can't remember what course I was in. So now you're going to do some searching. But UO People's template that I think y'all are using by now has you store them by course number. So anyway, I would just say for your personal files, arrange them by topic. And that's why we have the research, practice, and reflection sections that we had in Evernote. So you don't have to remember it was in 5240. You just remember it was practice, because I'm going to use this in my classroom. So that's how I say to organize them, but I'm not going to judge you. I'm just looking for you to tell me this is how I store my files, and pick out some that are particularly meaningful to you. That's all I'm looking for in this video. And then in Unit 4, you're not doing anything but opening up your files. And truth be told, if you did a good job on your video, I don't have to do much in your files because you already showed me. But it's just for me to go in and peruse. And I will also tell you, sometimes I steal your artifacts. So so I'm like, ooh, that's a really good practice website or whatever, I do a screenshot and then I go find it later. So, I think that's okay, that kind of thievery. But anyway, low pressure, because this is your portfolio, and doesn't matter if I like the way you did it or not. Okay, so on the video, just relax and talk to me about your stuff. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting assignment. In my doctorate, I had to do the same thing, but not on video. But I had to share my portfolio, and I had not been doing a good job. The way I was putting really everything on my hard drive, my OneDrive, and I knew I had access to a portfolio, but it was like, it's more trouble than it's worth having to go there. So then came the assignment I can't remember what the deal was. I think it was very similar. I had to share my portfolio. Oh man, you talk about, I was moving some files because I just didn't know early on that this was going to be a thing. And I know that's what's happened with Yo people, because I taught 5010 and I did not do a good explaining the purpose of the portfolio. And I didn't know about 5910. Something about showing it in 5910, but I didn't know anything about that. So I don't think we did a great job in 5010 helping students take advantage of Evernote, and that's on us. But now I know, and now I wish I would have taken advantage of my portfolio that I got from my doctorate, although it has changed companies, and I'm not even sure it's still out there anymore. So. What in the heck? I've got something on my lid. What else do you want to talk about? I don't just want to chat at you if I can help you. Let's see, what else is going on, like 5910, working on probably data collection at this point. Is that right? Oops.
I think on my case, on data collection, we are now closed for winter holidays, but then we are back at school again next week, Tuesday. So I'll be able to continue.
Okay.
From then.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a challenge. If I think the 5470 people are probably timing things, or their timing worked out. I don't know that anybody plans for this, right? Maybe, but because they've got a school holiday and they can just write and design and develop, and then when they're done, they get back in school and can start their data collection. But you can still overcome, and I keep with this research study, you're not out to change the world because you don't have time. You're just trying to show us that you can design, conduct, and analyze a study. When you get out on your own after you get your degree, yeah, it's really fun to conduct a real live research study. And, you know, you still want to follow all the same protocols. You still need to have informed consent. You still need to have site permission, but you can just move through those stages. But for purposes of this piece of paper, who did we lose? We lost Kathleen. For purposes of this paper, you're just trying to follow the steps. So if you have a small population or your intervention is only 2 weeks long and you really couldn't get that much data, that's okay.
Thank you.
Sure. What else? C2, Michael, you got anything? There, she's back. Wow. I thought I made you mad, KK. Okay, good. I don't know. Did you hear everything you needed to hear, you think? Catalina, you good?
Yeah, I'm back on.
Okay, I think I just finished after you left with, you know, if you have small population or your intervention is short, that's okay, because you can still show me that you can analyze. And, you know, if your data, you know, is limited, you know, or you either can't fail to reject your null hypothesis, or you're not sure because you only had 2 weeks on an intervention, that's okay. You just say that in your study. So there are a lot of things that are excusable in a research study because it's a limitation. So for example, I had sent my survey to, now I'm forgetting, let's see, probably 10,000 maybe officers, and that's who I was trying to, that was one of my groups, and I did a before and after. So before this course, to what degree could you effectively communicate? And then after this course, to what degree did you effectively communicate? So that's how I did my intervention was the course. Now it wasn't my course, but that was the intervention. And then my second group, and so they're totally independent. They're not, you know, the results of the officer or the student survey had nothing to do with the commander survey. It was just, you know, good info. I just said, you know, the commander said this and the student said that. Okay, so anyway, I sent my student survey to about 10,000 officers. And then I sent my commander survey, I believe there were 16,000. Okay, so 25% is kind of the industry standard. Well, I didn't even get 1% from either group. So, okay, it's a limitation. And the data were still good because I did have I had 157 students. I don't remember. Anyway, so if your data is like that, where you don't have enough students or participants, if you're doing teachers, you know, only 3 agreed to help, that's okay. What did the 3 say? Yeah. And, you know, we do want to see the statistical analysis on your quantitative data where it's at least the P correlation. So, you know, if you're doing okay, hopefully you can still hear me. If you're doing some kind of study where you're doing professional development with teachers, I forgot where I was going because I was worried about my cat. Oh yeah, so you're doing professional development and only 3 teachers agree to participate. Okay, and so you got it before and after. So before this professional development, how comfortable were you with STEM instruction? And after this training, how comfortable are you? And you take the before and after, and you run this correlation, what's it called? Correlation analysis, I think, test. And that way you can see if the average for the before results say a 3, I'm kind of comfortable. And then after the intervention, I'm really comfortable. Okay, that's great. And a non-researcher would say, oh, the professional development worked. But that correlation analysis will tell you, yeah, they're better because of the professional development, not just because they feel, it's been 3 weeks and they feel better. I don't know. So that's the least degree of testing to do, is that correlation. I printed something because I was watching some YouTube videos and I found something really interesting. Let's see. Hope I don't lose y'all. Okay, I'm gonna move you over so I don't lose you. Okay, so anyway, I found this thing that I thought was great. Yeah. So I'll share it with you and I'll give you an example. Okay. Do you see a stat test for types of data?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So look over here on the right, okay, what we observe in our sample data. So one category. So if you're, I don't know that you wouldn't, one category is just going to be that data collection. So none of you should have one category because that's just how many 12-year-olds do I have in my class? That's not really research for us. Okay, 2 categories are 8-year-olds and boys. So, or 8-year-olds and girls. So, or if you have teachers, English teachers and female teachers. Okay, so maybe you're trying to see if teachers who are language arts specialists are comfortable with STEM teaching. So compared to the male teachers, because if you're trying to show that, women aren't socialized to be attracted to the STEM subjects. So as a female, I like to write and I like to talk. That's language arts. Now you throw in some STEAM or STEM, that's math and science. I don't really like that. But then you have male teachers and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to write about a roller coaster we set up and we test how long. Okay, so that would be your 2 categorical. So you have male teachers and then comfort, degree of comfort. Well, no, that's numeric. So male teachers, language arts, female teachers, language arts. Okay, so that would be your 2 categories. 1 numeric. So you have like mine. So mine was before this class, how comfortable were you? After this, after this class, how comfortable? So I'm just comparing communications before, communications after. That's one numeric. I run a t-test. Okay, so you see that bottom, that's what I was talking about is the correlation test. So that's your, what you should be having because that's your intervention. So anyway, is this helpful at all? I don't know. I feel like I'm just stumbling around it.
It is helpful, actually. It is.
Okay.
This is better than my undergrad statistics class.
Yeah, because, you know, in undergrad, it's all about methods. I don't even know if I took statistics undergrad. I did definitely in my master's, but yeah, I don't know what statistics you would use unless, I mean, because you just don't do research. But anyway, so, and then I found this guy. Did I put that in the course for him? Okay. So I found this guy. This is where well, this is not where I got this, but let's see. Okay, I must not have. I'm gonna put him, or it's maybe a company, Grad Coach, I think. Let's see. He's in YouTube, and boy, I thought he was really good. And he's got a bunch of statistics. Let's see, who's that guy? Grad Coach. Yeah. Because I was looking for something for another student. I was going to start playing the picture. So let me share this guy. Or show you this guy. Okay, do you see a guy standing there in the video?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this guy right here, Grad Coach. So yeah, I pulled up this video for another student, and he's got a whole bunch of stuff. Now, you know, some of this I assume you know. So descriptive analysis or descriptive statistics you learn in 5th or 6th grade. So I would assume y'all understand mean, median, and mode, and we use mean all the time for average GPA, right? So you can watch those because they are, you know, mean you're going to use as part of your analysis because if you know if the like the mean of my students, so my survey, like the initial mean before the course, I think was 2.5 out of 5. And then after the course was 4. So I could say, oh man, they really improved. Well, you know, but is it significant? Is it, number one, really attached to the intervention? And number two, did the scores go up? What correlation is there? Is it a positive correlation? So you need the mean, which is descriptive, but then how to do, okay, so this correlation analysis, that's that P value, that and the t-test are both, we say 5%. So what those both are saying is, what is the chance, the probability that the intervention was of no value, basically, like the scores would have gone up regardless. So the t-test compares the before and after. The correlation says these things are related. We give it a 5% chance. So if you're, and you'll see all this if you watch this guide, if the correlation is less than 5%, that's good, because we're trying to, if you the higher the value, so if it comes out at 3, you're your intervention had nothing to do with the scores, because that's 300% chance your intervention was of no value. So the lower scores, so a 0.03, anything less than 5%, means it's a pretty good chance it's because of your intervention. And that's that correlation. So you'll see all those. I don't know if he goes in and shows you the formula. It seems like somebody showed a formula, but Excel will do, all I'm looking for is correlation. The t-test is good. You saw when, if you have one numeric, but you can use it for two, so before and after. But I'd get on and watch his grad coach, because if you tell me that you know your results are valid, what I usually get, my results are valid because I had experts look at them. No, that's not validity. Validity is this t-test and correlation analysis. Because that's statistical. That's, yes, this is because of my intervention. So at least run those two, and Excel will do it for you. I had a program called Minitab. Some people use SPSS. I don't know how they're getting it, if they're paying for it. But, and Google, what are they called? Google Spreadsheets or Google Sheets? I don't know. But anyway, Google will do it for you also. So if you have Excel or Google Sheets, don't pay for SPSS, don't pay for Minitab. I didn't have to pay for it. I got it from the Army. But they'll run this analysis for you. So watch a few of these videos, Grad Coach, because the one I really want to see is that correlation analysis, but the t-test is also good to show that it's significant. So it didn't happen by chance. That's basically what the t-test is saying, is it's because of your intervention. So without those, at least the correlation analysis, you can't really say that any improvement is due to your intervention. It looks like it, but that's not evidence-based. So anyway, does that help? Did I just make things worse?
No, I'm pretty glad I don't have to pay for SPSS, so knowing we can do the analysis with Excel helps.
Yeah, I have kind of tried to do it on Excel, but I just usually don't have time. So I need to do it over a break, and that way I can screenshot the steps, like do this and then do this, because Minitab, boom. I just pasted my numbers. Did I even have to do it? Yeah, I'm sure I had to do that. Anyway, I just pasted my numbers, and Minitab came up with t-test, correlation, regression, and chi-squared. So I need to figure out for y'all how to do that in Excel. But don't get stressed out over it either. All right, what else? Questions about the informed consent or parent letter? We're doing okay on those? Just make sure your parent letter or your participant letter, if you have over 18, states somewhere in there that the participant can drop out of the study at any time with no repercussion. That was the only thing I saw missing.
Yes, I checked my grades and I realized that I just got like 0.5 because I didn't, I didn't mention that statement.
Yeah, so just redo it and email it to me, and no problem, I'll adjust the grade.
Thank you. I'll do that.
What else? Trying to think of anything that may have come up. Let's see, C2, Michael, what course are you in? I can't remember.
Hello.
Yeah, what are you in 5470 or 5910?
I'm in 5470.
Okay, C2, how about you?
Yeah.
50.
Which one?
I choose two courses for this term.
So you must be in 5470.
14. I reached 14 courses. I need to finish 16 courses.
Yeah, so which class are you taking from me?
Research in education.
Okay, so 5470.
Yeah,
So Michael
yeah.
and C2, I'm grading literature reviews because I find that, you know, that's the only assignment that is peer graded in the entire class, and it's probably the worst one because y'all don't really know what a literature review is, and so how can you grade it? So I will grade your literature review just like I do all your other assignments, and if it's, you know, if it's not done correctly, I'll send it back to you. So the literature review needs to have at least 8 sources. And I know you've already turned it in, but if you get this thing back, you know, literature review is a deep study of what other experts are saying. Because here's the thing, if you start out with like, I'm going to research whether reading to students, what the impact of reading to students after recess is in terms of the number of disruptive behaviors. That's my study. And my hypothesis is reading to students lowers the number of disruptive behavior. The null hypothesis, then, somebody tell me what that would be. If the hypothesis is reading to students after recess decreases the frequency of disruptive behaviors, what is the null hypothesis?
That reading would not decrease the behaviors after
Right.
recess.
Yeah, or the way we would state it is there's no difference after reading to students. Okay, there's no difference in the frequency of disruptive behavior. So your study is going to try to prove, and again, you can't really prove anything, but it's going to try to show a correlation between reading to students after recess and lowering the frequency of disruptive behavior. Well, if you start doing your literature review and the first 5 that you study say, we researched 5 studies that had been conducted and there's no difference. We see that reading to students after recess, there's no correlation with lowered disruptive behavior. Are you going to keep doing that study? Hopefully not, because evidently it's a waste of time. If the first 5 studies demonstrate there's no difference, well, okay, there you go, so I can stop. No. Look, minimum 8 to 10. What are they saying? Because they could be, number one, those first 5, just by chance, you got ones that didn't work. Well, the next 5 did show a correlation. Okay, so I want to bring in all 10 of those sources and I want to see what is the difference. Somebody did something differently. And it could just have been the students. That's why applied research isn't really generalizable, because applied research is all about this site. Now, if I'm studying a site in Enterprise, Alabama, where I live. If I do a study in Daleville, Alabama, which is 2 miles away, it's probably going to be very similar. There are probably going to be very similar results. If I do my study in Enterprise, Alabama, and then I do another study in Myanmar with C2, his results could absolutely come out completely differently because they're not the same population. Okay, my population is American students, and his are going to be those from Myanmar. But look at a wide range of sources because they've done things differently. Their focus was different. I mean, it could be the books they read. I mean, absolutely. Well, if you read graphic novels to kids, yeah, they're probably not going to calm down because graphic novels are all about superheroes and, you know, okay, well, maybe you read The Secret Garden, which is calming, right? So that's why we want you to look at a lot of literature to get a broad understanding of not just does reading to kids after recess lower the, right? It's like what you read, when, for how long, what age group. All different factors could come to play. And if you read the wrong book, you're going to conclude, well, it doesn't work. So we want you to have a lot of resources that will that will guide you. So maybe you were going to read graphic novels and then you go, oh, maybe I better not read graphic novels. Okay, I'm going to read The Secret Garden. So you can be taught through those sources, and you can add to your understanding. You know, we only know our experience. So when we read literature, we learn from, so it's, we call it intrinsic knowledge or experience. That's what I've learned. I've learned that fifth graders are somewhat disruptive after recess because who knows what was going on at recess, right? Some fight, whatever. So that's my intrinsic experience. Extrinsic experience is what I can pick up from others who have different experience or they've done studies. So they're adding to my intrinsic knowledge. And that's how we learn. That's why we do all this reading and master's courses. That's why in undergrad, you do all the methods. You're learning from people who have taught math this way. So do it this way because it works. If your literature review has 5 sources saying basically all the same thing, that's not helpful. That's maintaining your point of view that may or may not be the most effective for your study. You know, we want to make sure if we're giving knowledge, we're adding knowledge to what's already out there, that it's not one-sided or biased. So if all the resources, all the research you do agrees with what you already believe, that is bias. So you go looking for more until you're convinced. No, I mean, I've looked at 10, 12. I think my study, my literature review, I think I want to say I read 30, had 30 sources just in my literature review because it was so broad, you know, adult learning, andragogy, communication, leadership, writing, all the topics that I was going to study in my survey. And so then when I did my analysis, I had that extrinsic knowledge to feed what I already know. So I feel like I'm preaching to you, but it's just important to conduct a deep literature review. So C2 and Michael, if you get yours back, I've only graded 4. If you get yours back, that's one of the things I'm looking for is 5 sources is not enough. You should have it for your studies, at least 8. 10 is better. What else? Anything?
I think I need to check my. I think I need to check my literature review again, because it a bit biased. I didn't. What I mean is that I focus on the dual language instruction. So as you suggested that I should also see the different research, like the effectiveness of the only one language instruction in the classroom, and then I can make comparison between them.
Yeah, and the research may not disagree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
but it'll just add to your understanding because, again, our intrinsic, what we already know is like this much. Because that's unless you're a researcher, you don't enter into all these different scenarios or experiences. So I'm not saying you have to find some research that disagrees. It's just you need to be looking for more than, what'll happen. Okay, so maybe this will help. What'll happen is I'm doing my literature review and I'll find a sentence in this journal article that says what I'm trying to prove. Okay, you got to read that whole article or maybe not the methodology and all, or well, you probably should read the methodology, but you don't got to read all the statistical analysis, but you need to not just reinforce that one thing you're looking for, which says reading after recess benefits kids. Watson and Holmes said reading helps. Okay, next source, because I got to have 10. And that's what happens a lot. So the best literature reviews have 1 to 2 paragraphs per source. Now yours doesn't need to do that, although I would say probably 1 paragraph at least per source, because you take their idea and elaborate on it. And you can really only elaborate if you read what they're saying, because again, our intrinsic knowledge is very limited. So you take their idea, elaborate, that's 1 paragraph. Take another idea that either supports or adds to that original idea, that's a paragraph. That's how you do a rich literature review. Rather than, I see 2 sources in 1 paragraph. You can't have read, that's all you got out of that one study is 1 sentence. You didn't read enough. And I'm saying you generally speaking. I didn't read enough. If all I got was that 1 sentence and then I find another guy that agrees and adds to that, that's not a literature review. You can do that on Google. So a literature review should be deep and reviewing the literature, not finding something in literature that supports your idea. And it's challenging because it takes a while. You only have a week to do it. That's why the annotated bibliography is supposed to kind of help is, okay, I'm reading the abstract because that's basically what an annotated bibliography is. It's just the abstract. So you read this abstract, yeah, that's not really where I'm going. Doesn't mean it's bad, just means you might want to file it away and come back to it later. And I'm going to check my email because I don't know if somebody's trying to get in. Let's see. Oh. Oh, okay. I see it. Sibengili. Right? Sibengili?
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. You got it?
Sibengili. No, it's not even
Yeah.
hard. Sibengili. I don't know what. Yeah, Sibengili. Yeah. It's a beautiful name. What
Thank you.
what ethnic I don't know, ethnicity? Is that what we say? What is that? Where are you
Oh,
from?
I was saying thank you so much. I was saying thank you so much.
Yeah, what nationality is that name?
Oh, it's Zulu from South Africa. It's a Zulu name from
Zulu.
South Africa. Yes.
So there was this famous female runner named Zola Budd, and I believe she was Zulu. Gosh,
Mm.
how old am I? That's at least 30 years ago. So I doubt she's still running. Whoa. That was anyway. Yeah, so that's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Okay, Katrina, yeah, you got a question? Because I'm just rambling at this point.
Yeah. Now, my question is there a year limit on like how far back we can go with our sources? So if I get, for example, I'm talking about like learner-centered teaching. So if I reference, for example, John Dewey, who is really like well known for
Yeah.
yeah. Is that too far back, or is it okay because of like the role he played in really giving that type of learning a platform? So how
Yeah, great
far-
question. Great question. So the industry standard for research, no matter what, particularly, of course, medical research, 5 years. So your source needs to be within the 5 years. Well, I beg to differ on that. 8 years, right? Because in education, things are conceptual. We're not going, and that is my cat, if you can hear that. Whatever he's doing. Our concepts don't change that quickly. Our methods don't change that quickly. So 8 to 10 years old. Now, what I don't want to see is a study from 2003 that said girls don't achieve as much as have lower achievement in math. Okay, that was 21 years ago. Things have changed in 21 years. I need some newer research that shows the level of girls' achievement in math class. That needs to be within the last 5 to 8 years. But Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, that's a concept. Now, there might be some research. There is some research out there that says that's not a true, there aren't multiple intelligences. And I haven't done enough study into it because, I just haven't. I'm doing other things right now. But that's, that doesn't negate Gardner and what he said about multiple intelligences. If a new study comes out and says girls are achieving at the same levels in math class, that negates that 2003 study. So we don't want to use it because it's not accurate. John Dewey, again, conceptual. So student-centered learning is a concept. It's not basically a numerical or empirical idea that could change, not like that overnight, but his concepts are still absolutely valuable. They're in use. Has anyone come out and proven that student-centered learning doesn't work? No. So if the idea is still valuable, but it's at this point 100 years old, it's still valuable. If this 2003 study says girls don't like math class, and then in 2022, there's another study, girls don't like math class, the 2003 study is still viable because there's still research that shows that. Does that help? So John Dewey, absolutely. Heck, Horace Mann back in the 1800s said a lot of the same things as John Dewey. So if it's conceptual and applicable, then it's still valuable and still used to guide what we know about teaching. We still, I mean, I used Dewey in my doctorate, and that was, what, 4 years ago now. So, yeah, but it's just, I guess it's more statistical research is what you have to watch because things change. Again, girls are achieving at the same levels of boys. So if I use this 2003 study to show that girls don't like STEM class, so how can I change their attitudes? You got to find something in the last 5 years that says girls don't like STEM class. Because that throws off your intervention. If you're using old research that says girls don't like STEM class, and then you put an intervention in and you use, say, gamification, and now your girls like STEM class, was it because of your intervention, or was it because over the last 20 years, girls have been exposed to STEM and they like it? Does that make sense? That's why we don't use old research.
Okay, that makes sense. And then, is there a limit on the number of citations for the sources that we pick? Like if a study was done this year and it's only been cited once, or if it was done in like 2015 and it's only been cited twice.
No, so I get what you're saying, and there's an idea. So there's an idea in the military. When you get your evaluation, you need to have a rating most qualified instead of highly qualified. Highly qualified is good, but most qualified, if you don't have most qualified, you're not going to get promoted. That is not true. It's never been true. It's not true now. It's just that little gossip that goes out there, right? Same thing. Oh, you've only been cited twice. Clearly your research isn't valuable. They just haven't been found twice. So I get what you're saying, and more citations, they got in the right journal. I mean, it is hard to get published. So if your journal, so say Jennifer's education journal and Catalina's education journal, and I pay to have my journal pop up first in Google, my articles are going to get, or the articles in my journal are going to get cited more because they come up. So that's the way I see that, is that person's article isn't less valuable because it's only been cited twice. It's just been found twice. And, you know, if everybody knows that Michael is this famous, okay, so for example, Michael's article comes out about multiple intelligences. And then Howard Gardner publishes something about multiple intelligence. Everybody's going to quote Gardner. Sorry, Michael, right? But they're going to quote Gardner because I know him. Does that mean his article or his research is better or more valuable? No. Michael might have done a great job and produced something world-changing, but I don't know him. But I do know Howard Gardner. It's kind of like if you're driving through town, you see McDonald's and you see Joe's Hamburgers. I don't know anything about Joe, but I know McDonald's. So, no, I do not hold that as I don't personally hold that as any indicator of value, is how many citations somebody has.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. All right, well, it's past time. I'm happy to sit here. I feel like I'm just rambling, which maybe sometimes is okay. But I want to make sure I'm helpful to you, and I don't know what time it is for a lot of you. So it might be 11:30 at night. So we can sit here and chat, or you can feel free to say, peace out, helpful, I'm gonna go back to work. I will get the video out as soon as I can. I just have to type each individual name, and it takes me a little bit, but I'm happy that I found a way to share these videos. I don't know what happened. Maybe it changed. Maybe Teams permissions changed, or I just wasn't very smart. Didn't know how to do it.
Thank you. I
Thank
think
you.
I learned a lot today, so I really, really appreciate the sessions. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Sure thing, Susie.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
rest of your
you.
day or night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Take care.
I just have one last question before I go.
Huh?
So there may be some courses when like I only have maybe 2 entries, then others where I have more. Does it make a difference?
No, I mean, it's your judgment. If you took a class, and it was okay, but you didn't really find anything that stood out to you, that's fine. This is what's important to you.
Okay.
So, when I taught, I took, when I taught middle school, I taught math. That's all I taught. So if I always want to teach math. I'm not probably going to keep lessons I found on, or practices I found about how to, second grade flip charts. It wasn't helpful. Does that make sense? So yeah, no, I'm not going to judge you. You're the one that's been deciding what was important to keep.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm good. I'm calm on the presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you too. And I
Okay.
would also like to find out if
Okay.
with the week 3 assignment, are we to submit the corrections as well as the week 3s in addition on the same assignment page?
I prefer that you keep adding to the template, because what I do is go back to previous weeks and I see, it helps me understand, because for example, you don't always include your research questions in an assignment. So I have to go somewhere else to see what your research questions are. So I prefer you just keep adding to the template.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Bye.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye.
Dr. Thanks, Dr. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. C2, you're back.
Yes. Did you say anything before I go? No?
No, I think
I
you were
thought
also
that
goodbye.
you were about to tell me something.
Oh, well, I don't remember that, but Michael asked if you are supposed to add each assignment, or if you submit it separately. And I said I'd rather have it added into the proposal, so you have assignment 1, assignment 2 all together, because it helps me. In each assignment, you may not repeat your research questions, or you may not repeat your methodology. So I have to go back and look. So I'd rather have it all together so I can see the information I need. Does that make sense? That's all I said, I think.
Okay. So I do need to just copy and paste there,
Yes,
right?
correct.
And then I need to submit. Yeah.
Yes. all one big assignment each week,
Okay.
or the whole template each week.
Oh, yes. Whole template. Okay. But I do have some problem with the APA format.
Everybody
I
does.
still have a problem.
Yeah, and that's why I edit as like I do, is to let you see every mistake and the correction. So what I would recommend is go to APA style. So it's
Yep.
apastyle.apa.org or Purdue OWL, and look at my correction and find that in APA style and see why I'm telling you don't capitalize this, or the period goes here, or what, like, why is that true? It's true. I guarantee you, if I correct something, I'm right, because I know APA inside and out. But you need to know, why is it capitalized here and it's not capitalized there? Instead of just, okay, I'll fix it. You need to know why I'm telling you it's wrong. So I would recommend you take my edits and go look it up for yourself. And that'll
Yes.
help you from then on. And then you'll be like, oh, now I know the rule.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
But
you.
everybody, 5910, they have trouble with APA. It's just, if I live it, right? And I wrote a doctorate and I had so many corrections because I didn't know APA either. I mean, when I did my master's, it was APA 2, and we're on 7 now, right? So everything's changed. So when I did my dissertation, wow, I mean, probably 6 submissions it took me to get everything right. Okay, but now I know the rules. So don't feel bad.
Okay. I go look for that.
Yeah, I would recommend it. And then you learn.
Yeah. So thank you and bye-bye.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.